Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing history repeat itself, but this time the roles are reversed because tonight, China, the same communist superpower that once bragged about dominating the global economy, just waved the white flag. And back home, while President Trump is forcing the world's second largest economy to its knees, Chuck Schumer is doing something unthinkable, starving out his own voters in the middle of a government shutdown that he created. 40 million Americans, working class families, seniors, single moms are about to lose their food stamps and food assistance, not because the money ran out, but because Democrats refused to pass a clean bill unless illegal immigrants got taxpayer-funded health care. Now, think about that. They're feeding foreigners while their own citizens go hungry. Meanwhile, across the Pacific, Trump just pulled off the trade equivalent of Normandy, a diplomatic D-Day that left Xi Jinping stunned, markets roaring, and America reclaiming its power. China blinked, tariffs frozen, a new framework signed, and the message is crystal clear. When Trump's at the table, America doesn't negotiate from weakness. Now, this isn't just another headline. This is a defining moment. This is one side fights for American families and the other holds them hostage. So tonight, we're connecting the dots that the mainstream media refuses to show you, from Beijing's surrender to Washington's betrayal, because this is more than politics. This is a test of leadership, leverage, and loyalty, and only one man passed. Like, subscribe, and buckle up, because by the end of this video, you're going to see exactly how the balance of power just flipped forever. Now, President Trump just wrapped up one of the most aggressive diplomatic blitzes in modern history, an Asia tour that got Beijing shaking and Wall Street soaring. In less than a week, Trump touched down in Cambodia, Malaysia, and Vietnam, signing deal after deal after deal that rewired the entire trade map of Southeast Asia. But these weren't photo ops or staged handshakes. No, this was chess at the highest level. Each stop tightened America's grip and loosened China's. Cambodia agreed to drop all tariffs on U.S. products. Malaysia opened up its rare earth markets to American buyers. Vietnam signed a mutual benefit pact that links its exports directly to U.S. defense manufacturing. Trump didn't come as a guest. He came as the architect of a new order. So while previous administrations begged Beijing for access, Trump built alliances around them. And this is what rattled the global elite the most. He didn't isolate America, he isolated China. Now, for decades, China believed that it held the world hostage through its monopoly on rare earth minerals, the minerals that power everything from smartphones to fighter jets. Now, at one point, they refined nearly 90% of global supply, and they were using this control like a loaded gun aimed at the West. But when Beijing threatened to restrict exports this summer, Trump called their bluff hard. Within weeks, new deals were inked across Southeast Asia, Australia, and even parts of Africa to expand alternative refining networks. The message was unmistakable. America no longer dances to China's tune. Beijing expected panic, but what they got was defiance. The moment that China realized its leverage was collapsing was when the global markets stopped reacting to its threats. Manufacturers began resourcing, governments started investing in non-Chinese facilities, and Beijing suddenly faced an irreversible truth. If they weaponized trade, they would lose it forever. Trump turned their hard asset into a soft liability, and this is when China finally blinked. Then came the headline that sent shockwaves around the globe. China folded. After months of threats, tariffs, and chest pounding, Beijing quietly agreed to a long-term trade framework with the United States just days before President Trump's scheduled meeting with Xi Jinping in Seoul. Now, the 100% tariffs that were supposed to slam Chinese imports deferred, the export restrictions that were meant to cripple U.S. tech withdrawn. The mainstream media tried to spin it as a mutual compromise, but everyone paying attention knows the truth. This was an economic surrender dressed in diplomatic language. China's economy was moving very slowly. Its currency was falling, factories were closing, investors were fleeing. They couldn't afford another round of Trump tariffs. So Xi Jinping did what no Chinese leader wanted to do. He blinked. And Trump, standing tall on the global stage, didn't gloat. He doubled down. He made it clear that America was back in charge, and this time the world noticed. So now this isn't some victory for traders on Wall Street or CEOs in corner offices. This is a huge win for every single American family, because when China folds, you feel it at the grocery store, at the gas pump, and at the checkout counter. I mean, look around. Prices are finally falling. Walmart announced Thanksgiving prices rolled back to 2019 levels. Guys, Walmart, seriously? Gas is cheaper. Food inflation has cooled off. Eggs that were $5 a carton last year, they're like $2 today. That's not coincidence. That is confidence. When businesses believe in stability, they hire more. They expand, they pay better wages. That's the power of trade peace built on strength, not surrender. So while Trump was sealing deals that cut costs for American households, Democrats in Washington were busy manufacturing chaos, shutting down the very programs that their voters depend on. So as China bows and the markets breathe, Washington burns, and the divide between results and rhetoric has never been clearer. Now back home, while Trump was forcing peace through power overseas, Washington was doing what it does best, fighting itself. As of October 29th, 2025, we're in day 28 of a full-blown government shutdown, not because the money isn't there, but because America cannot afford to operate, but because Democrats in the Senate refused to fund the government unless illegal immigrants were guaranteed taxpayer-funded health care. You heard that right, guys, by the way. The same party that claims to fight for the little guy is holding up paychecks for TSA agents, air traffic controllers, and soldiers over a fringe demand that doesn't help a single American citizen anyway. Meanwhile, the House already passed a clean resolution to keep things running. Republicans backed it. Even a few moderate Democrats crossed over. But Chuck Schumer, he's dug in, turning politics into punishment. So while President Trump's signing trade deals abroad, families here are bracing for unpaid bills, stalled benefits, and another round of political theater here at home. Now, here's the problem with Medicare. Your plan might look fine now, but next year it could explode with higher costs or possibly even lost doctors. This is why I partner with Chapter, folks. They defuse the time bomb by reviewing your Medicare coverage before it blows up. Now, one of our viewers, she said, I had no idea my Medicare plan was changing until Chapter warned me about it. So let me ask you, are you going to wait for the explosion, or are you going to do what most people already are and diffuse it early? Now, most people, they're dialing the phone number right there at the bottom of the screen, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. And that phone number again is 909-563-8279. Oh, and hey, listen, these aren't just empty words. Here's what real people have said about their experience. So one person said, Chapter is the best for Social Security. I will not use anyone else. Lewis Lyon said, thank you, Ron. Chapter found me a better plan, and thank you, Chapter. I mean, your plan can change without any warning. So don't wait. Call today before the system changes on you. So here's where the human toll hits like a freight train. 42 million Americans rely on SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, to put food on the table. Single parents, seniors, disabled veterans. But by November 1st, those benefits will run dry if this shutdown continues. Not because funds vanished, but because Senate Democrats chose politics over people. Now think about that for a second, okay? The party that depends on working class voters is now starving its own base. Now, according to CBS News, the Agricultural Department has already warned states that the program's emergency reserves are almost gone. This means millions could wake up next week with no food, no food card reloads, no government safety net, no answers. Now, here's the kicker. Roughly 75 to 80% of SNAP recipients vote Democrat. So the very people that Chuck Schumer claims to represent are the ones that are paying the price for his political vanity. So while Trump's feeding economies abroad, Schumer's starving families here at home. Now, let's go ahead and call it what it is. This shutdown didn't even have to happen. The House already passed a clean continuing resolution to keep the lights on and food assistance flowing to the people. Republicans voted for it. Even a handful of moderate Democrats had the courage to cross party lines and do what's right for the people. But in the Senate, Chuck Schumer slammed on the brakes. Why? Because the bill didn't include one radical provision: taxpayer-funded health care for illegal immigrants. This was the hill he chose to die on. Not national security, not infrastructure, not feeding American families. No, none of that. It was about appeasing the activist base. And now, 42 million of his own voters are paying the price. This is a political hostage situation, folks. This one side fighting for American citizens, the other fighting for headlines. And Chuck Schumer, he's about to learn that starving your own base to win Twitter applause isn't strategy. It is suicide. Now, here's the difference between power and the illusion of it. Trump understands leverage and Schumer just doesn't. Trump threatened tariffs, signed deals, built alliances, and forced China to back down without firing a single shot. That is real power. That's credibility right there for you guys. And of course, that's follow through. Now, Chuck Schumer, on the other hand, thought he could use the same tactic here at home. Hold the government hostage, blame Trump, and come out looking like the defender of democracy. But it backfired spectacularly because leverage without credibility is absolutely nothing. It's worthless. You can't bluff the American people when they're the ones that are paying the price. And now Schumer's approval is collapsing. Moderates in his own party are breaking ranks, and even CNN can't even spin it anymore. The public sees it. The polls are showing it. Trump's approval has gone up during the shutdown and not down. That is the price of credibility. One man delivered results abroad. The other delivered excuses here at home, and America knows the difference. So while Democrats grandstand in the Senate, the real world fallout is accelerating. The Pentagon just confirmed that they've only got enough cash to make one more military payroll. Now, after that, crickets. Air traffic controllers and TSA agents are showing up to work without pay. Airports are backing up, and travelers are starting to feel it. Federal workers, hundreds of thousands of them, by the way, are watching their bills pile up while DC politicians play political chicken. Oh, and it doesn't stop there, guys. When those families stop spending, the ripple spreads. Local restaurants, small businesses, mom and pop stores start losing income. Economic confidence takes a hit. And what happens next? Job cuts, missed payments, and delayed projects. But here's the irony. Trump's trade victories are literally stabilizing global markets, while Chuck Schumer's shutdown, it's destabilizing America's own economy. Two men, two strategies. One builds prosperity through strength, but the other is manufacturing pain for political theater. And now it's not just voters that are watching. This is history that is keeping score. So I want to zoom out just for a second, because what just happened with China isn't some isolated trade spat. This is a geopolitical earthquake. For decades, China's leverage came from rare earth minerals. You know, those elements that the world needs for technology, EVs, and defense systems. By threatening to choke off exports, they thought that they could corner America. But Trump flipped the script. And so now Malaysia, Vietnam, and Australia, they're ramping up production. U.S. companies are shifting supply chains, investing in new refining facilities, and they're cutting Beijing completely out of the equation. Even Japan and India are joining the effort. The result? Well, this isn't just an economic win. This is a strategic one. For the first time in decades, the balance of power in Asia is tilting back toward American allies. Trump didn't just negotiate a deal. He redefined the battlefield. And Xi Jinping knows that. This is why Beijing rushed to the table. Because once the world realized that it didn't need China, Xi Jinping and China just lost everything. Now, all eyes are turning to Seoul, where President Trump and Xi Jinping are expected to meet face-to-face within days. The stakes? Massive. For Trump, this is about locking in the America First framework that he's been building across Asia. For Xi, it's about damage control, saving face after weeks of economic threat. Insiders are calling it the most high-stakes meeting since Reagan met Gorbachev. Now, the buzz is that China will offer deeper market access, relax export limits, and agree to new verification measures on critical goods. But the White House isn't celebrating yet. They're verifying everything. Because President Trump already knows the game. Beijing signs big, then drags its feet. And this time, he's not giving them the chance. As one senior advisor put it, we're negotiating from strength now, not dependence. And that is what has the globalists terrified. The realization that America's comeback isn't a slogan anymore. This is policy, and it's working. So what does all this mean for you? Well, the average American trying to keep food on the table, pay bills, and build a future, well, what it means is leadership matters. It means results matter, because while one man's diplomacy just lowered your grocery bill, another man's arrogance is threatening to take food off your plate. We're watching two Americas unfold. One is led by action. The other is paralyzed by ideology. And every shutdown, every trade deal, every dollar in your wallet comes down to who holds the leverage and who uses it for the people. So ask yourself, who's fighting for you? Who is putting America first, and who is putting politics first? Because the next few weeks, this will decide if we keep winning or if we go back to losing. Now, if you believe in results over excuses, in leadership over chaos, then don't just watch. Share this message, like, subscribe, and stay alert, folks, because America's awakening has just begun. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below.